Hello everyone, Ben here and welcome to round 1 of a new SCB Community Championship. We're in the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars. We start at Brands Hatch and you can see here we've got a fantastic starting grid. 29 drivers taking to the track to get things underway in this new championship season. It's a 45-minute race. There's a mandatory pit stop and we've qualified in 5th place, so pretty happy with that, but we've got quite a lot of work to do if we're going to find ourselves on the podium, because there's some really quick drivers at the front of this field. But here we go then, you can see the red lights are about to turn green. Let's get underway. And it's lights out and away we go, and we get a flyer past Will, who bogs down off the start, but Dietz on our right hand side gets an even better start and he's managed to get up and into 4th position. We then hold station in 5th despite having benefited from Will's poor start. We're safely into the hairpin for the first time. We've got Rogers just behind us. Christian Greta up front has held his lead from Garcia, and then Van der Vaart in 3rd place. By and large then, it seems everybody's got through that first set of corners reasonably safely, which is good to see, and we now are thinking about looking forward. We've got cold tyres and brakes, so we don't want to push too hard on this opening lap, but we do want to see if there's any opportunities to just make up some early spaces in this race. You can see Van der Vaart is not hanging around. He is pressurising Garcia up in 2nd place, as Greta is already 2 seconds clear of us and a full second ahead of Garcia, who is still defending from Van der Vaart in 2nd place, no doubt costing himself a little bit of time having to do that. We get a bit surprised by how early Dietz is on the brakes, and we just about stop ourselves from running into the back of him, but we're through the left-hander then for the first time, and we're going to hold 5th position by the looks of it. We've managed to drop Rogers by about 1.5 seconds as we come around to the end of this first lap, but we are going to get a better run out of that final corner than Dietz, so we might have a bit of a look into Paddock Hill Bend as we come in here for the first time at full speed, and we just about think better of it and allow Dietz around the outside, and that then means we are going to be in 5th place heading into lap 2. Will and Venema and Teddy have managed to get past Rogers, so we now have the blue car of Will in our rear view mirror. We run slightly wide there. We're not going to get a slowdown penalty, thankfully for that, but look at that, we do have Dietz just moving around slightly in front of us there, as I thought for a second he might have lost control of the car. So Brands Hatch then in the Porsche GT3 911 Cup car. What's it like to drive? Well, I've really enjoyed the bits and bobs of practice that I've done for this opening round of the championship. I like the Cup car generally. Of course there's similarities with its GT3 sibling. It's a little bit more understeery, it's a little bit more sluggish through some of the corners, but actually at a circuit like Brands Hatch, if you can get a lap hooked up, then the car feels pretty excellent. The high speed flowing sections of the circuit, regardless of the fact that the car, as I say, is a little bit understeery, a little bit sluggish into some of the corners, as long as you treat the corners with plenty of respect, prioritise exit speed, then actually you can feel pretty good in this car, and that's just as well because we've got another 40 minutes of racing still to go here, and I've got to say I'm pretty pleased with these opening laps. I'm keeping in touch with the cars ahead, and yes, Will is just closing up a little bit on the back of us, but I'm not coming under too much pressure at this stage of the race. You might have seen on screen we've had our first retirement of the race. Mendieta is out and will not finish this opening round of the championship. Speaking of the championship then, it's a 5-round season. This is the 2nd Sunday series that we've ran as part of the SCB community. For those of you who don't know who we are, I'll come back to that, because actually we've got Dietz making a move on Van der Vaart. So that then is Dietz up to 3rd position, and Van der Vaart has dropped down to 4th, just in front of us. He won't be happy with that, and he isn't happy with that, and he span as we've come round there in the right-hander, and we're just about managed to avoid him and then avoid Dietz as we come around the left-hand corner. Clearly Van der Vaart wanted to make that place back straight away, and he's made some kind of big error there which has caused him to spear off to the right-hand side. We were so close to getting collected in his accident there. Thankfully we didn't, and thankfully we didn't make any contact with the other car up ahead. That then gives us a chance to perhaps just look back at the opening lap and some of the action we've seen in the opening 5 or 6 minutes of this race. So you'll see there, firstly, just how many cars we've got on track here for this opening round, but secondly, everybody by and large getting through nice and cleanly, and we've settled there into 5th position very well. And then a little bit later on in the lap, you can then see Dietz, Van der Vaart, Garcia all jostling for position up ahead of us as we come through this very high speed section. We just about avoid running into the back of Dietz up ahead, and as we come now around into the left-hander, that then is going to set the pattern for the next couple of laps. But it isn't long before Van der Vaart is passed, and there he is making his mistake into the right-hander. We have to get out of it, just squirm to the left-hand side and just about manage to hold on to it. Let's see from his vantage point how that accident played out. He just misjudges his braking, gives the car up ahead a tap, and that sends him round. He sensibly gets off the racing line. We rejoin then the live action about 5 minutes later as I've been trying to close up to Patrick in 3rd place. He makes a little bit of a mistake there, and that's going to give us the chance to get right on his rear bumper. A reminder then that the pit window opens in 3 minutes. It's a mandatory stop. We have to change at least the front or the rear tyres. You can change both. I have fueled to the end of the race, so it'll only be a tyre change that we look to make, but in the meantime we've got a much better run than the car ahead out of that corner. We're going to try and show to the inside, but you can't go side by side here unless you want to die, essentially. So we pulled out of that. I was hoping perhaps to just frighten Dietz into a mistake, but I wasn't able to do it. But that scrapping has allowed Will behind us to close right in. He's less than 0.4 of a second behind us now, as again we just about managed to get our braking right into the right-hander, and we're going to get the car slowed down and hooked into the left-hand corner as well. But we've definitely got a challenge in our hands now from behind. Will is pressuring us, and if I don't get past Patrick up ahead soon, then the real danger is that Will is going to make a move on us, and we'll be down into 5th place once again. Van der Vaart, by the way, got running. He's down in 13th place at this stage of the race. As we come into Paddock Hill Bend, though, we take a little bit too much curb, and then just behind us in our rear view mirror you'll see that Will goes around as well. He's had an accident. I don't think there was any contact, but it might be that us nearly losing control might have distracted him slightly into a bit of a mistake. Let's take a little look back now at how that accident played out in the first corner. You can see we get too much curb, and I'm just trying to keep control of the car, but actually Will himself was already losing control behind us. So we ended up just about saving ourselves, but unfortunately he couldn't do likewise. So that's given us a little bit of breathing space then back to Rogers now, who's in 5th place. And the reason that Rogers is in 5th place as we've come back to the live action is that other cars have started making their pit stop. The pit window is open and some drivers are going early. I came into the race expecting probably to pit at the half race distance point, but actually looking at the tyre wear, there might be an opportunity to just pit early and pit for one set of tyres. The risk of only changing one set of tyres is that it unbalances the car, but actually if you pit early in the race, then actually the differential between your front and your rear tyres in terms of wear won't be as high, and I think that's what the drivers who've pitted early are going for. So we make an adjustment, you can see on screen, to our pre-planned pit strategy. We decide not to change the rear tyres after all, and we're going to come in on this lap. I'm going to try and put a bit of pressure on Dieter up front and try and squeeze past him by undercutting him through the pit stops rather than trying to pass him on track. You've got Nick Campbell here on the right hand side. We're going to lap him here. He's had a couple of incidents on the opening laps, I believe, but we now just need to get the car slowed down and into the pit lane as we come in to make our stop. It's a very tricky pit entry. You'll see here from this off-port camera we just about graze the wall as we come into the pits, but here we are then trundling down the pit lane. This is a bit of a strategic gamble. I'm not sure at this point whether it's going to pay off, but we managed to get in, get our pit stop done, and we've halved the amount of pit stop time that we would have lost. But as we come out of the pits, I get a message in the bottom left hand corner of the screen that we've got a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and I have to serve it within 3 laps. I didn't get the car slowed down enough coming up to the line, and that then is going to really harm our race chances. We're down in 14th. We've come out in 14th place. We're one of only 5 drivers who've made a stop, and we were well in front of all of the others, but now I'm going to have to come in and serve this drive-through penalty. There was about 3 or 4 miles per hour in it, but rules are the rules, and I didn't get the brakes on in time. So we flash forward then just a couple of laps. I've gone as long as I could without serving the penalty. Some other cars have come in. We're up into 10th place, but I am now going to have to come into the pits and serve this penalty and essentially do a second stop, although we won't actually stop the car, but it's going to cost not a dissimilar amount of time in many ways, because I'm having to trail through at the pit limit speed. We're in 16th place. We're going to drop down into 17th and 18th, I think. It's so frustrating, but it's my own fault. It was a lack of attention to detail coming into the pit lane. We've got a car stationary here by the looks of things on the pit exit. That looks like it's Iskin. We're going to pass him and get on with our race, and we've come out in 21st position. So I've gone from thinking maybe a podium's on the cards to essentially now in damage limitation mode, trying to salvage something from this race. There's 25 minutes left, so there is plenty of time, but I now need to make sure I don't make any more mistakes and try and close in on the cars up ahead. Amazingly, after that, we're behind Van der Vaart, so he's now in 17th position. We passed a car there, stricken on the left hand side, so that is 1 position back, because I think that was Bogdan, but we're going to have to work pretty hard to get more of these positions back. Fast forward then, there's 20 minutes left of the race now. We're just coming up behind Larson, who's in 15th place. We're up into 16th as other cars have started to pit in further up the field, and now I'm going to try and squeeze my way past Larson to get up into the top 15. Well, we're in the top 15 because Bray is in the pit lane now, so try and get up into the top 14. We get a better run through Paddock Hill Bend here. Larson just hugging to the curb slightly. I'm going to show to the inside quite late, so I'm going to have to hug it nice and tight because I don't want to surprise Larson, and I definitely don't want to make any contact. We've gone through side by side there nicely. I'm going to deliberately get on the brakes early and do the switchback move here, get a better drive out of the corner, and that has worked a treat, and we are past Larson and up into 14th position. Fantastic stuff there, good racing, all nice and fair. Up ahead then, we've got Will, who of course made a mistake earlier in the race. He had been running behind us, he'd span out. He's ahead of us, having pitted in, but he's not that far up the road. And I'm about 5.5 seconds behind Rogers, who's in 12th position. So what I need to be able to do now is just close in that gap, particularly to Will and Rogers up ahead. Lawson as well has made a stop. He's 8.3 seconds up the road. These are the guys now that I'm going to have to try and vie for position with. Dietz is too far up the road. He's 15 seconds up the road, having made his pit stop, so I'm really unlikely to get close to him given how similar our pace was through the first part of the race. But there's 18 minutes left. I do have plenty of time. More cars then have come into the pits, but unfortunately we haven't made any positions up from that. They were too far up the road. But I do have Kratochvil, Sterling, Bang, Crud and Graves all to come in up ahead of us, and all hopefully within striking distance. So there's a good chunk of positions that I can hope to make up in the laps to come just by putting in our pace. ages ago in the video now, as I started to explain before the action really kicked off, the SCB community. So this is an SCB community championship. We run a Sunday championship as well as Friday community races. It's open to everyone of all abilities. There's a real spread of ability and experience in this field. And if you'd like to get involved, check out the link to the Discord group. It'll be in the description to this video. So I'm looking up ahead now, and I can see that Lawson, Will, and to a lesser degree Rogers are all pretty close by. I've started to just rein them in slightly, and I'm hoping that if they're going to be fighting with each other on track, maybe there's going to be half a chance for us to get right back involved in that fight. There's a couple of cars. I think that's Kratoshville going into the pits. Yes, it is. So we're going to make up another spot there. We're up into 13th position. You'll see from the live timings there in the TV tower, the lap times going in, we are a little bit quicker than those cars up ahead. That's a 1:30 flat we just put in, which for race pace isn't too bad. Venema behind us has just put in a 1:29.9, and he's pretty rapid, Richard. So if we're matching the kind of pace that he's doing, then I'm pretty happy with that. But as we come around the left hand here, I can see the yellow flags are out, and if you just look to the left hand corner of the screen, there's been an accident on the infield, and we just miss collecting a car, and it was Van der Vaart again. That's the second time in this race we've had a near-death incident with Jasper coming around a corner blind and then seeing him stricken. But that has given us a real boost actually, because both Will and Lawson up ahead must have had to get out of it to avoid collecting themselves into that accident, and we have narrowed the gap now to within 2 seconds of both cars, and actually they look as if they've swapped places. So Lawson has got past Will there, and we are closing in fast, which is great stuff. I need to make this count now. I've got to be neat and tidy, but really try and push on and get onto the rear bumper of Will. There's another yellow flag out there. I can't see what the incident is. Will is going to have a go here into the last corner as we come along the start-finish straight, and he's right alongside. He's got a chance here into Paddock Hill Bend. 2 more cars in the pits, including Sterling. He's going to hold it here. Will, he's going to get down the inside, and that is a brilliant overtaking manoeuvre. Having lost out, I think, on the lap before, he's got the place straight back. We're going to try and maybe just capitalise as well, but it would have been too risky a move. It would have guaranteed contact, in fact, with Lawson. So we think better of it. We've got a lapped car here. It's Jones on the right hand side, so we're all going to snake past him, and I'm going to try and keep the pressure on Lawson here and see if I can't get myself past and up into what would be 7th place. So there's still 2 cars left to pit, and despite having to come through for that drive-through penalty, we're already up into the top 8. So actually, as far as recoveries go, this is going quite well here, and we're running so close to the 2 cars up ahead here. We're practically nose to tail, the 3 of us. You could put a blanket over us. We're coming now into the right hander. There really isn't any chance to overtake here. The track is too tight. You would definitely make contact and get into a big accident. We're going to have to get on the brakes earlier than we would to take account of the traffic up ahead. I'm showing to the left hand side, but there is no chance to get down into this braking zone. It's just not a long enough braking zone to realistically get alongside. We're going to try and just shape to get a better exit from this corner and maybe get alongside into Paddock Hill Bend. Those 2 cars up ahead have both come in to take their pit stop, so this is going to promote us up into 6th place. We're going to show to the inside to try and get past Lawson, but we just can't make it work. He's too good around the outside for us to squeeze down the inside and make up a further spot into 5th. It looks as if Will is slightly wide up ahead, but he manages to hold it. We are very wide as we come out of the corner and just about hold on to it. That's going to really undermine our chances to keep the pressure on Lawson. All the while, Rogers is only 3 seconds up the road, and he is occupying a podium spot. So there might, just might at this point, with 13 minutes left on the race clock, be a chance of getting up into the podium positions, which, I'll be honest, about 15 minutes ago did not feel very likely at all. Let's take a look back then at what on earth played out there as we follow Van der Vaart in the white and green car. He's squeezing down the inside here. He's gone 3 wide in fact, but he's squeezing now around the outside as the corners switch around of Teddy. He's going to do the switchback move as we did on Larson just a few laps earlier. That means he's going to have the inside now for the next corner. Teddy just gets on the grass, it looked like, and he spun into Van der Vaart. That's a really unfortunate one, but then Van der Vaart comes back onto the racing line. You really shouldn't be reversing into the racing line, and that's what's happened to Garcia because he gets tagged. Sorry, not Garcia, Will. He gets tagged as he comes around the corner, and that's why he slowed up, and that allows Lawson then in the white car to get around the outside of him, and they're going to go side by side down the back straight, but Lawson's got the high ground. He's going to have the inside line into the swooping fast right-hander, which is going to ultimately give him the place, surely. But no, Will is coming back at him. He's going to try and get down the inside, but Lawson is nice and brave. Will doesn't do anything silly, and that gives Lawson the position. But it didn't last long. Less than half a lap later, a poor exit from the final corner gives Will half a chance, and that's all he needs as he's coming across the start-finish line just now. He's got the inside line into Paddock Hill Bend. The drivers give each other plenty of space. That's us lurking in the background, just hoping to pick up any pieces and closing in all the time as we now show to the inside, but we just comfortably back out of that. We come forward then another lap, and here's highlights of that fantastic racing between the three of us as we're just trying each of us to get up into 5th and 4th positions. It's all fair, but it's very, very tight. We're going at very high speeds through this part of the circuit. One mistake from any of us could in effect take all three of us out of the race, but thankfully we all kept it pointing the right direction and on the racing line. We're going to come then around the final corner of the lap as I'm just trying to hustle Lawson into some sort of mistake here. 2 more cars in the pits then. That's going to promote us all up into the top 6 of this race, and there's Rogers just coming through the front of your screen. I'm then trying to take the inside line into Paddock Hill Bend, but there just isn't space for me to get around. Rejoin then with just less than 10 minutes left to go, and we are right on Lawson's rear bumper again, and up ahead you can see that Will is right on Rogers' rear bumper as we're each trying to squeeze our way past. But then out of nowhere, unfortunately, the server crashes. We've had an act of God, and unfortunately that is going to bring an end to the race 10 minutes early. Wasn't long before I got this screen. I thought it was just me at first, but it wasn't. Everybody from the race got kicked out, and unfortunately we had to call the race there. Despite pressure being applied up and down the field, it was this man in the Nvidia liveried car, Christian Greta, who in fairness was well clear in any case, who was the class of the field in this opening round. This is just a clip of him racing from earlier on, passing back markers. He wasn't ever really challenged on track, so he comes home with the first win of the season, and we come home in 6th place, and overall, given the trauma of the drive-through penalty, I think I've got to be happy with that. Here's confirmation then of the first round championship standings. We're off to Imola for the second round next week, and I will have highlights of that race following the session itself. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Do check out our Discord community if you'd like to get involved in some of these races in the future, and I will see you next time.